Hey everyone, this is Scrap Computer here. This video is going to cover how to come back after a losing game. This is a circumstance most people don't know how to deal with, even the higher levels. This video will hopefully give you an actual game plan and a couple of things to achieve beyond I hope they make a mistake or we eventually outskill them. Some of these points are coming on from my inherently linked how to stall a game out video which I've done previously. Without further ado, let's get stuck right in. Number 1, vision. This is literally the most important point out of them all. Vision's the most important thing when approaching coming back from a game. Vision is information. Information can be used to make proper decisions. Being behind is all about making hard and difficult decisions and being careful with the variables you have and to know when to do something and more importantly when not to do it. For example, when ahead you can run into an unwarded area, and if the enemy team are all there, you're so far ahead you can engage and probably even kill them. So this mistake is mitigated and actually doesn't become an issue. When you're behind, this just isn't the case. When you're behind, that mistake which the winning team just basically done could cost you the game. When losing, wards in these areas which have shown below, ward them immediately. If without these wards, don't do anything. As you can see, it gives vision of anyone getting Baron or Dragon, which are the main contests you will be going for, and of course vision coming into your jungle when your enemy try to pick you off. These are imperative vision points, and with them they allow you to get a lot of aggressive advantages and more importantly defensive ones. These are the basic spots. You should of course attempt to ward even more. Always try and grab a couple of pinks for the more supportive base roles, but these ones need to be filled immediately. With vision you can make informed decisions about the scenarios I'm about to cover. Keep this point in mind, it is the most important and it'll be referred to tons of times with my next points. And some of these next points, which are the only real ways of coming back after losing a game, are basically inherently linked with vision. Without vision, some of these points aren't even possible. Number 2, clump. Clumping is important when behind. In a losing condition, your team one-on-one versus the enemy's team, and just two random members like top lane versus top lane, about 8 out of 10 times your top is going to be weaker than their top because their entire team's ahead, and you have to remember their top gets that advantage as well. And for the most part, most of your teams are going to be weaker, and additionally they can be stacked and killed. Even an ahead teammate on your side won't be able to fight the rest of a fed enemy team even if there's 2 of them. Clump up as soon as you can. The reason for this is simple. If your enemy do overextend, all of your potential CC and damage together on your admittedly very weak team can blow up any target at all, even if they are ahead. Whereas when you're behind and you're not clumping together with, let's say, a Annie, Tristana, and a Sona, even if you find, let's say, a fed Olaf, the 3 of you might not be enough to blow him up, even though you are 3 damage dealers. You have to remember what a full team probably could have, excluding of course the CC. You have to remember, no matter how far ahead someone is, no matter how fed an enemy champion is, if your Tyrant team captures them out, you can blow them up. If your Tyrant team doesn't catch them out, it doesn't really matter because you'll only do some damage to them. Without clumping, most of the strategies and picks and immediate blow-ups are impossible because you're behind, you don't have that kind of damage. Additionally, there's another reason. When behind, you need to disengage and only fight in the right circumstances. Full 5 people together can either disengage with all of their abilities, CC and damage when one of your teammates get caught out. So if someone gets caught out and they know your entire team's there and their entire team isn't necessarily in position, they may just back off. Whereas if they know you're not there, they'll just continue fighting and maybe get a couple of kills. It's all a mind game, they're scared. Additionally, all their CC and damage together should be enough to disengage, helping you avoid a fight. Lastly, also 5 minds together should be able to decide a good and a bad scenario. So if someone forgets to think, which is kind of common, you can ping and wake them back up to make them reposition to a more safe circumstance. Number 3, picks and fights. Now, the second most important point of this guide after warding, picks and fights are just imperative. This point wins and costs a lot of games. This point alone is where 90% anecdotally plus of the community drop the ball. Not every fighter pick was born equal. When behind, carefully consider your picks and fights. Don't get desperate and go on anything. Most people, when behind, will go on absolutely anything that even slightly sniff as a kill to maybe in an off chance get back into the game. Now, sometimes these risks work. Sometimes someone is genuinely out of position, but people take chances when behind, and it's, in my opinion, nearly always stupid, even though it can sometimes work. Never chance your luck with losing odds. You're behind. From now on, you're going to make, and when you're behind, instead of just fighting, you're going to look at the map, you're going to actually decide and calculate if it's a good or bad decision. Don't just say, oh look, the enemy Ashe is walking through our jungle, but you don't see her team, you don't see anyone on the map, and it isn't warded. You just see her in the glimmer of one ward coming into your jungle. Now from here, do you go and try and get her? don't go for her. It may be Ashe, I'm being serious, don't go for her. Without knowing she is by herself or with two people, you're not to go in on her. You're just not going to. It shouldn't happen. If you try to blind pick that Ashe, her whole team can be behind her. She could arrow and engage on you with her entire team. All I have her saying is, if in doubt, get the F, you can fill it in out. Whereas if you had wards and you 100% only seen it was Ashe and Sona, and you see Aurelia's top and the Warwick's top, or if you don't have wards. So with wards you can see, right, they're only two by themselves, or if you see people are on the map but across the map, then you can fight. Then you can say, it's Ashe and Sona versus my entire team. Either look in the map and they're going to be pushing minion waves, or spot them in a ward. If you can't do that, you do not make a pick. But if you do see them very clearly, let's say in the ward example, go for the pick. It's a good pick. It's a 2v5. It's assured as a pick, and it'll work. This is 100% odds. There's no maybes, there's no ifs. We have to remove the if when you're making picks and fights, when you're losing. I know this sounds eye-rollingly simple, and it kind of is, but also isn't, because a lot of people forget to make calculations. I've seen diamonds and above try and force fights and plays without vision. Ask any challenger or professional player if they'd fight win behind or try and make a hard pick without vision. In the LCS, do you see it? Do you see them making picks and running into blind areas? Not so much. I 100% guarantee that most of them will say it's a bad idea, if not all of them. This concept goes the same for not fighting. Don't team fight unless you have good odds or outnumber your enemy. You're behind, 5v5, you'll more than likely lose. It's a 80-90% chance you're going to lose the fight. I don't like those odds unless someone massively mispositions, the enemy team miss all of their abilities, and these are not things you can count on, they're just not. And your team has to play absolutely perfectly. You can always win any team fight regardless how far you're behind, but the amount your enemy has to mess up increases the further you are behind. So only make fights unless you outnumber them or they're down multiple huge ultimate abilities. Just make sure you're calculating, don't just run into a fight. So if the enemy Warwick is up top without teleport, you know it's a 4v5 if his enemy team are in the middle of the map. Your best chance of winning the game is actually this 4v5 if they're playing careful. The enemy Ashe's bot lane is Sona, the rest of their team are mid lane. Go mid lane and fight them 3v5. You have two extra people. This could win you the game. Think. All you have to do is add up numbers. Is your number greater than their number? Yes. Start the fight. If not, just avoid it. These are just two very simple things you've got to remember. If you do this, I guarantee you won't throw as many games, and you can stall out games better, and you can just start making more impactful and smarter picks. Number 4, your position. A small point, make sure you aren't the one getting picked up or even potentially picked. Keep an eye on the map and where your team are as well, and ensure that no one overextends or gets caught. Keep an eye on the map for the enemy, where they're moving, where you're moving, where your allies are moving. It sounds like a big job, but it really isn't. If you see, for example, the Aurelia top lane and she disappears off the map, she's roaming down in your jungle more than likely, or going mid, and you know she's around that area. Just keep a mental picture of the map in your head. When coming back, this is important. If someone gets caught out, you're going to make it a 4v5, and when you're already behind, this is pretty poor. Just keep your eyes peeled on the map and you should be fine, and just make sure no one gets out of position. This is really important because one or two picks could end the game single-handedly, and you don't want that happening. Number 5, get the jungle. Now, this is a commonly underestimated point. Next time you watch a professional game, tell me what they do after a good siege, or when they're winning heavily, or if a team's losing, what do they do immediately? They clean the enemy jungle up. But if you noticed, if you're in a high level, that in, let's say professional, do they get the blue, Gromp, Wolf, Scuttle? No, they don't get all of that. Now, there's a reason for it. The answer for this is simple. The enemy team who are losing quickly picked up the jungle before their enemy could siege, so the head team didn't even get a chance to take the jungle. Next time you're looking at that professional level play, look at them, they scrub the jungle quick as hell. Take the jungle before it can be denied. Make a conscious decision when you're losing and they're about to siege. Run into the jungle quickly and take it all, because they will take it on you if you don't take it yourself. You have to do this. Scrub the jungle, ask your teammates to pick up all the major buffs. Now, the reason why people don't do this is because you can get picked off. Now, if you have wards, which you should have, which I've mentioned, that's not an issue. Just ward up and take the jungle. You have to do this. It gets you extra gold, which helps your teammates picking up the jungle, helps them get back a little bit faster, and make sure your enemy don't get the additional gold or buffs on top of everything. Do not let your enemy take the jungle if it's ever possible. So if they're prepping for a siege, you run to the jungle immediately and take it all while warding. You can do 2 jobs at once. Number 6, know when to and when not to contest. Another major point I come across, you can't let your enemy get Baron, Elder Dragon, or inner inhibitor turrets. These are the 3 objectives you will fight tooth and nail over, as they give such combat advantages or just utility advantages, they end the game otherwise. So once your enemy gets the inner turret, you can't fight for the inhibitor because there's nothing else helping you, whereas if you fight them under the turret, you've got a small advantage as you've got the turret's damage as well. Pretty cool. The Elder Dragon, same thing. Baron, they could siege you out after it. These are game-ending objectives. You have to fight them for it. The normal Drakes, Rift Herald, red buff, blue buff, inhibitor being killed versus a heavily fed enemy team in the open. These are all things, unfortunately, you just have to suck up and take. The vast majority of players, and some just really can't let an inhibitor go down. Sometimes I just back off and let them take it. So say most of your team die, there's 3 of you left, and there's still 5. Don't fight them. You're behind, you're gonna lose that fight. It's really simple. If you fight them, you will die. Once you die, they could even finish the game. They go back at 100% Baron. Cut your losses as soon as you can. If they get the inhibitor, that means if they do rotate for Baron, you're still alive and the rest of your team respond. You can fight them for Baron, but if you try and contest them and die, it's just going to make the whole opportunity worse. These are the times where you just say, okay, they're stronger, we can't fight them for it. Fighting for that Mountain Drake, for example, knowing you can't win a team fight is just stupid. Just let them have it. Like, there's no point in trying because you're just gonna lose. Letting them have it doesn't cost you that much, but losing a fight and them getting the dragon as well because they're ahead will probably cost you the game. Know when to fight and when not to fight. If you think it's a bad idea, let them have it because it probably is. Number 7, risks. My final and third most important point. When behind, you have to take small risks. Risks are what makes and breaks a game. Most players and teams go either way. Either they go hyper aggressive and fight over anything that even though they're behind, or on the opposite end of the spectrum, they just let their enemy have everything and just keep on backing off and stall. Coming back from a losing game is difficult because it requires coordination and intelligence. It's not about mechanics anymore, it's about outplaying your enemy in the macro game. This is why most low levels and some high levels never get the concept. It's a combination of the two. It's a combination of not fighting for objectives and fighting heavily on them. It's about making this right decision. It's seeing a potential pick with vision and going for it. It's about seeing a risky pick and deciding not to go for it because it could get worse. It's about using the data you've got to make the right decision. Taking risks is a good thing, but only take risks that are over a 50% chance of success at the least. And sometimes, if you can, over 100% chance. You see someone going out of position, go for them. You see the enemy Warwick's top lane, it's a 4v5 fight, go for it. Wait for your enemy to make a mistake, then jump for them. Look for these mistakes. Consciously decide to go on these mistakes. Don't just hope your enemy makes really stupid mistakes. Look out for them because your enemy always will make a lot more than you really think. You also have to make them make mistakes by ambushing them even when behind. So when they're trying to take your jungle and you see the Rivens coming in to get your red buff, for example, you can kill them. But their whole team's at the Windrake, and just before that, you don't try and take the Windrake because they will beat you. You see from there, the Warwick goes top lane. You can go down and maybe get the bot lane turret or fight a 4v5 fight. All of these things have to come into combination. You've got to know actions and reactions and really 100% only do calculated risks. Now, a lot of people don't take any risks at all or take too many. Make only calculated risks. Take the right risk and take the right calculation. It's all about thinking. Like, that's the problem with this concept and the reason why most people can't do it. They just don't think enough. When you're losing, you're playing against the house. And the house doesn't always win as you would like to believe. Not if you're counting the odds. In real life and of course in League. And that's it for the video, my friends. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like it, dislike it, dislike it. If you like the content, you can subscribe. If you think it's horrible, I totally dropped the ball here and I'm totally wrong, you can unsub, I'm totally fair. I also stream on Twitch TV, guys. The link will be in the low bar. Hopefully I can see you guys there, bring educational, fun content beyond that, guys. Have a great day. Best luck on the Rift, and I shall see you guys next time. Take it easy.